What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Final Whistle Sports Podcast. You know who I am? It's Blaine Spencer, and you know who my co-host is. That's Joe Ciccoletti. Week 2 for Joe. How are you feeling? You survived week 1. You had a week off. Now you're stuck with me again. Are you doing all right?
We are doing terrific, fantastic. I'm happy to be back. You know, I my key card worked this morning, which is always a good thing. Here at the Final
Nice.
Whistle. I thought I was going to get thrown into the dumpster fire, but here we are. We're back and we're ready to talk some NFL playoffs today.
I know. And Joe, both of our predictions were for that final playoff slot were way off. We couldn't. Why couldn't Aaron Rodgers do us like a solid and make us look like geniuses? Instead, it was Jared Goff and the swag daddy Kazikage, as his intro said, Jamal Williams being the difference for the Detroit Lions. And it's Seattle and Miami who ended up getting in with Skylar Thompson at the helm. So we'll break down every playoff matchup. And you're right, Joe. I really did consider potentially not allowing you access back in, but I knew the show's better with you, unfortunately, and awful when it's just me. So it's a pity. It's a pity second week thing. So we'll look at it again going into week 3.
That's fair. That's fair. Appreciate that.
Always. Joe, let's jump right in. I know this is actually going to be a lot shorter of a segment than we originally anticipated because, we were right. We thought Georgia was going to win. We didn't think it was going to be record-breaking of a win, winning 65-7 over the TCU Horned Frogs. And let's be honest, it was just an absolute ass kicking that took place last night. I'm going to tell you right now, I turned it off at halftime. So I didn't even watch the second half of the beatdown. I did watch the highlights, though, so I could be prepared for this segment, but it was absolutely awful. Record-breaking 58-point differential, largest in bowl history since they've been doing bowl games. Like, Joe, just quick impression. I know you didn't watch the game because we were texting that you were going to bed early. So,
Well, go Bulldogs, baby. I told you last week, and I'll tell you again, you were going to be in bed by 10:30 Eastern Standard Time because it was going to be a blowout, and I was right. I was right on the – actually, you probably were in bed by 9:30 because that game was donezo by halftime. It was incredible stuff by the Georgia Bulldogs. I didn't expect them to blow them out that bad. Did not at all. But, whoo, the 25-year-old out of Georgia, Stenson, baby. Unbelievable, man. He's winning people money all over, yo. He even did he hit the over by himself? Like, did Georgia hit the over? Because I'm pretty sure that over
oh, my God.
54, 55. So, yeah, hit that.
I think it was.
Georgia just played outstanding ball, and TCU looked like a scared puppy dog, and it was bad.
61.5. Georgia hit it by themselves.
Yeah, it was incredible stuff to watch. They just looked incredible. Stenson played lights out. Not only did he do it in the air, he did it on the ground as well. I think he started out with like the 22-yard touchdown run to score it out, and then he had that wide open touchdown pass to oh God, I'm drawing a blank on the tight end's name here. That's
Bowers.
On me. Bowers. Yeah, I should be a better podcaster, but here we are,
Just goes to show how much you actually watched the game.
No, I actually did. I did watch a good chunk of the first half and a little bit of the second half as well. But Bowers is an incredible tight end, man. He might be a good top pick, maybe a second rounder next year. He's athletic as hell, and he can run a route and beat a lot of them linebackers and safeties. But kudos to Georgia. They're good. What else can you say?
This was the first thing that was walking through my head. And when we were texting back and forth, it was only 9 o'clock. So bedtime was real early for us for Eastern Standard Time. So, but the first thing was like in my head, I was like, Georgia finally played their first A game all fucking year. And it just happened to be when TCU probably played their worst game all year, which amplified how bad it was. But Georgia it was nothing short of dominance. Like if they had played like this in the college football semifinal, Ohio State would have lost by double digits without question. Like that's how lethal they were offensively, defensively, special teams, you name it. They were clicking on all cylinders. And Stetson Bennett, he's our age, right? I mean, I might be trying to figure out if I can get some eligibility at Utah, see if I can go be Cam Rising over there and pull my own Stetson Bennett. But no, just kudos to Georgia Bulldogs. They got something special down there in Atlanta. And you think Kirby's starting to replace Nick down there a little bit as the best program in the SEC. So I think you can put that now as a valid argument.
I know Kirby had a post-game interview, and he was talking about the players, and one of them was crying and saying, like, oh, Stetson's going to be leaving. He goes, Stetson's 25 years old. He needs to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I love that. And it's also fitting that we're both wearing white tonight as well, because that's what TCU should have done and thrown up this white flag at halftime as well. Duggan looked like garbage. He looked terrible. Gosh. I mean, granted, look.
Deer in headlights, man.
Yeah, exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. Georgia's defensive line was playing outstanding ball and getting a lot of pressure on him. But he had one of them throws, I believe it was the second INT, that he just like threw it up in the middle of the field, had a wide open receiver, and just overthrew him by 10 yards.
Quentin Johnson, wide open.
Just a terrible, terrible mistake by him. And then, from downhill, I mean, it was already going downhill from there. So, but everybody was talking about this morning on all the sports radios and stuff. Like, what do you say to your team at halftime down? What was it? 38-7. Like, what do you even say to them?
Oh, I couldn't even imagine. The first thing I'd probably freaking say, I'd be 100 with them. And I'd be like, yo, I'd probably have to be like, all right, we're getting our asses handed to in this game right now. And you just try and reset, I guess, right? You tell that you give them all the cliches imaginable. You say, yo, it's 0-0, read new game, new half, one possession at a time. We'll see where we're at, start of the fourth quarter. We're midway through the fourth quarter, and we go from there, right? You start to think of like, where do you try your goal? You're down 31, right? You probably be like, all right, let's cut that deficit in half. Let's get it down to 15, 16 going into the fourth, because that gives you an outside shot, still 2 possessions. But then you're also like, God damn, we got to, in back of your fucking head as a head coach, we got to shut these fuckers out just to even have a chance to get into this football game. And of course, first drive, they go right down the goddamn field. So at that point, and you could see it on Sonny Dykes' face in that first half. He was like, damn, this is all she wrote, like already. Yeah. Like he was seeing the right ball midway through the second quarter, and it wasn't even over yet. They were still down probably 10-17, and he was still already having like, God, it's over.
Yeah. So I had 2 speeches, right, that I was thinking.
Yeah.
About.
What do you got? Inspire me right now.
So I got 2 speeches, and the one's more the funny route. You know, it's like, well, the greatest comeback in terms of like a Super Bowl, national championship, World Series, NBA Finals was the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots when they came back 28-3. So what I would have told the guys is this: like, we can make this greatest comeback better than the Patriots, but at least we scored more than the Patriots to start the comeback, right? They got 4 more points. I mean, that's impressive, right? 4 more points than New England Patriots. So I would have said, well, we can make this comeback greater than that was, but at least we started out more points than they did. So we're already looking better, right? The other way is you don't want to tell the guys to lay down and kind of just pack it up in the second half, but like, you can tell the guys to pack it up in the second half and we'll go get tacos after the game or something like that. Whatever you want to do here. So, you know,
they definitely went with the taco scenario the way that second half went.
Yeah, I mean, 0 points the second, third, and fourth quarter from a TCU team that was one of the highest powered offenses in the college football realm this year. Yeah, it was impressive stuff by Georgia once again. Couldn't agree more with you. It seems like Georgia is slowly starting to take over the SEC. I forget the announcer from ESPN said something about that, and Nick Saban was on the broadcast, and he gave him the death stare of death stares, and it was hilarious to see.
No,
I don't know if you
I
got a
did
chance
see
to
that
catch
as
that, but
well. I saw it, but I can't remember the announcer off the top of my head. It wasn't on ESPN though. I think it was on maybe one of the side streams that
yeah.
they do. I think it was ESPN2 or something like that when they have like the whole like booth and they do interviews while the game's going and stuff like that. But no, I do remember that, and it looked like Saban was like, "All right, I'm calling uh, the Alabama police or the Alabama CIA and be like, all right, we need to put something in action here on this guy. We're
Yeah, they
put him like
probably
on the most wanted list or something."
they probably call their hitman up or something like that. You know, Nick
Oh,
Saban's got a side
without
hitman or
question.
something like that. He's like, yeah, pick this guy out. All right.
Exactly. No, but I mean, if you're a TCU, like, how do you move on from this season, right? You've had an unprecedented season, but now you're in the history books for the wrong reasons. So now there's like that caveat. Like, how do you inspire? Like, it's not like he's not bringing in a good squad next year, right? He's already brought in 3 Alabama transfers. And it's like, you're not going to be the front runner, of course, because I think Duggan's gone. So it's going to be, and Johnston's probably gone. So it's going to be a rebuild there. But like, you're at TCU, how do you even recover? Like, how do you inspire now recruits after that lacking that you took last
But
night?
but to like in the reverse sense, like you did make it to the national championship. You did make it to the college football playoffs. Like that is a big, big, big step in this program.
Right.
You know, win
First Big 12 school to do it.
exactly. Yeah. You know, most of the time you hear a lot of the SEC teams or you hear a lot of the Big Ten teams, but you know, to do this and play well and still win and beat Michigan, which Michigan is a very, very good team. To go in and beat them. And yeah, you got smacked around versus Georgia. That's fine. But like you also got to remember this, you still made it to the national championship. You still made it to the end goal is make it to the national championship. If you lose, okay, it happens, you know, but
Right.
you also got to take into a lot of the positives here. They're going to get a lot more recruits because of this and good for them.
Right. No, it's true. That's a good argument there. I didn't even look at it that way. So, but kudos to Georgia, absolute domination. Sorry, TCU fans. It was not your night. Let's switch gears. All right, let's jump to our NFL playoffs. Like how we've already mentioned earlier, we got the 2-7 seeds wrong. So we're gonna walk through it based off of what games go first and transition all their way down. So first matchup, Seahawks 49ers. Then you have the Chargers, Jaguars. You go Dolphins, Bills, Giants, Vikings, Ravens, Bengals, and the Cowboys and the Buccaneers wrap it up on Monday night. So a couple of intriguing matchups, a lot of divisional matchups, which is kind of what I was more surprised by. We already have one, two, I think three divisional round matchups in that wild card round. Joe, let's walk through it first. Let's look at the Seahawks and the 49ers. Seattle kind of been sputtering these last 6 weeks, needed every second imaginable to get by the Rams just to even have a chance. And Detroit gave Seattle a lifeline. And I think, honestly, Green Bay might be a little bit happy because Aaron Rodgers doesn't know how to play the 49ers whatsoever. But it's going to be interesting. I think this game might be another butt whooping here with San Francisco with how they've been absolutely dominant this second half of the year. All right, let's look at it. Seattle Niners, walk me through it.
I mean, I said it last week. I'm a huge Niners guy. I think they are an NFC championship caliber team, potentially even a Super Bowl team. They've played Seattle very, very well in both matchups. The defense is playing outstanding ball. I think they're coming into the playoffs as one of the hottest teams in the league right now at, I think, a 10-game win streak, if I'm not mistaken. Some of their opponents, though, during the 10-game win streak, I will say, isn't the strongest. Let's say that. They're not the strongest. But I still ultimately think San Fran is going to dominate Seattle. I think they're going to beat Seattle. My biggest takeaway in this game, though, is this. I'm almost 10 out of 10 sure San Fran wins this game. How does Brock Purdy perform? Because this is a make or break for Brock Purdy and next year's starting job, in my opinion. Because here's my reasoning why. Say Brock Purdy loses. Let me rephrase that. Let's say the Niners lose and Brock Purdy has a bad game. Okay, I'll rephrase it that way. Next year is still kind of a question mark as who is the quarterback then in San Fran? Is it Trey Lance? Is it Brock Purdy based on 6 games? Or is it we're bringing back Jimmy G? Now let's say, hypothetically, San Fran wins, Brock Purdy has a good game. Well, now you're kind of moving on to the point of, well, he's had 6 really good games. He's actually, I think, the best quarterback over the last 6 games in terms of stats. And on top of it, has come through in the biggest moment again, the playoffs. I mean, you're kind of sitting there and saying, well, I know I have went all in on Trey Lance and have traded multiple picks away to get Trey Lance. But you may have found the 7th round quarterback of the future and could be the quarterback of the future. I think this game's kind of big for him, in my opinion.
Ooh. So there's a lot to digest there.
Yes.
Out of the 3 quarterbacks, let's see. Let's break it down. I think if you had to, let's just say if the season ended right now, right? If Seattle pulls off a monster upset, and I think we both agree it would be a monster upset going into San Fran and getting the job done. You'd probably still have to go Trey Lance at the top, right? That's what I would do. You go Trey Lance at the top just because of how much you invested. Like you pointed out, like you traded up for this guy. Like you made the full investment, and he did show some glimpses in the couple games that you've seen. So you know the raw potential there. The upside is exponentially higher than the other 2 guys. I think we can both agree on that. Oh, all right. Then you go to Purdy at 2. I would say Purdy is just a similar, cheaper version of Jimmy Garoppolo. I would say that. So Jimmy Garoppolo's the one he's falling on a budget version of Jimmy G. That's how I would describe it right now, based off of what we've seen this year. Jimmy G is obviously, I think, going to be the odd man out because he was honestly the odd man out this year, but they just couldn't find somebody to pick him up and take on his salary, right? So I think Jimmy G is gone. So now you're down to these 2 guys. So if Seattle wins, you go with Lance just because how much you've invested, but you get the job done. Maybe not the divisional round, but you get to the championship game. Brock Purdy's got to be your guy. He's got to be. He runs the offense well. He understands it. He fits the system perfectly. He's extremely disruption from the number 3 pick to the last pick in the draft. So then you start maybe inquiring calls about Trey Lance, dabbling in that, see what you can potentially get out of that. It won't be a first rounder in return, but maybe you start to look at an investment here, right? And then you go with Purdy. So I wouldn't say if he gets the job done. I think it's a big game for him. If he loses, I think he loses the job. I don't think he wins it, though, if he wins this game. I think he's got to get 2 wins. I think he's got to get him to the championship game to keep his job. What do you think?
I think the only way he loses it here is like if he has a really bad game. Like he shows he's.
So you think if they lose, but he still plays well, he keeps it going into next year?
I think it's a QB competition then at that point. I don't think it's
Okay.
a clear-cut Purdy, clear-cut Lance, because the other thing with Lance is that Lance has now almost been off the field for 2 straight years, right? Here and there in the first
Well,
year.
don't forget the whole year in college that he didn't play either. He hasn't really been on a football field in 3 years now, if you really
Yeah.
take a deep dive.
And then you started out the year in Chicago in a very, very, very rainy Chicago, and you look like absolute garbage that game. And then, like I said, I'm going to blame a lot of it on the weather because that is the case. And then you come into game 2, and that's when you get hurt. So, again, you're out 3, like you said, 3 years of missing NFL time, and then you still are trying to recover from an injury. So you know he's not going to be 100% back that first week or two. Like, he's going to be working his way back still in. I just like Purdy, man. He can sling the rock a little bit. I like the way he composes himself. I like the way he fits into this system a lot. I don't know, man. It's just something about him. And if he can advance past this week and potentially next week, there's got to be some strong considerations for him at starting quarterback next year.
I think it's valid, right? I think it's a valid argument, especially when I think his issue why he fell off so far. Like, I think most people had him after his first couple of years of college at Iowa State, had him a lot higher on the board. But because of how poorly he kind of played, especially his junior year in comparison to his senior year, like, there was a lot of things that, like, you're seeing that, like, because he showed glimpses, right? He had Iowa State as a top 20 program those first 2 years when he was in college. And then junior and senior year, this was a 500 football team hovering around there, which is why I think when you're a lower tier team in the big and arguably one of the weaker Power 5 conferences, that raises eyebrows to scouts, right? So then you do the full deep dive, and then he's got his arm talent's not great. His accuracy's solid. He's got great anticipation. But then you're starting to look at all the raw intangibles type stuff, which is why quarterbacks start to fall now, because a lot of them now in today's game, everyone's looking for the upside, right? The Josh Allen upside, the Lamar Jackson upside, the Trey Lance upside, why he was so high off the board. So I think what you're getting out of Brock Purdy, you might not get much more, right, out of him. So I think that's why there's always that step back. How much more can he give you? That's the real question.
That's fair. Fair point. Very fair point. We'll see at 4:30 on Saturday, that's for sure. But on the flip side with Seattle, personally, I think they're kind of in like the same boat as Tampa Bay, and I know we'll get to Tampa Bay. They're just playing with house money right now. You didn't kind of expect. I mean, Tampa Bay is a little different, I guess, but like you kind of didn't expect the Seattle to be here. They're here. They got a nice little team. They're good. They've seen San Fran twice now. And it's difficult to win your division, to win divisional games twice, let alone 3 times. But Vegas doesn't believe that. Vegas thinks San Fran's going to steamroll them, and I don't blame them. So, yeah, I like I said, I think my pick's San Fran. I think they win 31-17 if I had to give a score. Okay. But, yeah, as long as that defense still is the defense that we know in San Fran, I don't see any problem here for the 49ers.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think for Seattle, you have to put all of your chips into the middle of the table. You're fortunate to be in this position in the first place with how week 17 went. Like, no offense, Seattle. Baker threw a lollipop to Quandre Diggs in overtime. Van Jefferson was so open. It was remarkable. Like, he might have walked into the end zone if Baker gets him that ball when he's supposed to get it. So you're playing with house money. Offensively, you can potentially compete. It's just going to be what are you going to do on the defensive side of the ball to handle all of San Fran's weapons? And it was 27-7, I think, the first game, 21-13 up in Seattle. That was also on a short week. It was also, I think, Purdy's first start on that in the 21-13 game. It was his first or second start, I believe. So it's like, what are you going to get if you're a Seattle Seahawks? I think you got to give Purdy so many different coverage reads, and you got to dare him to beat you. You got to put 7 or 8 in the box, and you got to take your chances with Ayuk and McCaffrey and Kittle as pass catchers. Correct decision. So that's the biggest thing that I want to see. So if you're looking at it in Seattle, I have the game going 28-17. I think the Seattle will make it a game for the second half. For going into the second half, Niners pull away late.
I like it.
All right. You do the next one. What we got?
We are in Jacksonville, Florida, 8:15 game at TIAA Bank Field, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're taking on the
You've been to that stadium. You've been to that stadium.
I have. I was actually there last year this time. They are taking host of the Los Angeles Chargers, led by Justin Herbert. Both quarterbacks will be in their first playoff appearance, which is shocking to say, especially on Herbert's side, because that team is loaded. But yeah, it's going to be a doozy 8:15 game at Jacksonville, Duval County.
Fascinating. I think this one is one of the more intriguing matchups of the weekend, especially after how Jacksonville went into LA and boat raced them earlier in the year. And it wasn't even like close. And wow.
Before you said that, I mean, after you say that, let's go back to that game a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to hit your memory bank here, right? Justin Herbert recently came back off of that rib injury, and Rashawn Slater just recently exited. I don't know if it was the game before or that game when he got injured. So tough loss for them, first off. Rashawn Slater might be – he's not going to play this week, actually. But if he comes back, if they win and he comes back next week, wow, watch out. Chargers going to be able to protect Herbert finally. So, yeah, I don't take too much from that game because you had a lot of injuries.
Do you? Really? You don't take much out of that game?
The one with Jacksonville blew him out? Yeah, I don't take much from that game.
Why not?
Too many injuries.
The Chargers Herbert was hurt and Slater was out, but they were full strength on. I'm going to be completely honest. They were mostly at full strength in that game.
Keenan Allen was definitely out. That man missed like 3/4 of the year. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm pulling up the box score right now.
I'd be shocked.
Don't you fret.
If he did, it was
Herbert played.
Yeah,
no. You're right.
No Keenan Allen. But did Mike Williams even play?
Mike Williams did play.
Okay, all right.
He only had one catch, so he was shut down. Josh Paul. I think Williams got hurt in that game.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they got no wide receivers out there. All right, that's great. All right, how much?
I think Mike Williams. All right. I'll take it back. I'll own up to my mistake. All right, Mr. Jacksonville connoisseur, LA Chargers hype man over there.
Hey.
Goodness gracious. All right, so I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am taking Jacksonville to win. I'm taking Duval, baby. Ride on them Jags. Why? Because I really just cannot trust the LA Chargers with a 20-foot pole. This is perfectly lined up for the Chargers moment, like how it ended last year, right? It's just writing on the wall. It's all set up. They get in this time. Brandon Staley finally trying to minimize his stupidity at the head coaching position. Actually deciding when punting is a good decision in your own half. So that's always a good sign. I think a huge component, though, is how much you're going to get out of Mike Williams.
Yep.
After that back injury, you played your dudes. It meant nothing last week. You were going to be the 5 seed regardless because of Baltimore getting absolutely smacked. So it meant nothing. You played your guys, and now you have Mike Williams with a lower back injury. They say he's going to be okay, but the back is not consistent, man. You never know what you're going to get on a day-to-day basis. And Jacksonville, man, they are rolling. these second half of the year. Trevor Lawrence, arguably, statistically speaking, the best quarterback since they got on these last 9-10 games. Statistically, over 70% completion percentage. And I got to give the GM some credit. I don't know his name because usually they have screwed up in recent years, but they went a little bit overboard financially speaking with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and etc. You could probably say that they're a little bit above what most teams were going to offer them. But man, they produced Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, all three newbies, and they've excelled. ETN coming back, basically being a new piece, basically forced James Robinson out because of how well he's looked. Man, I've got to roll the Jaguars, man. They're showing me something, and I got to go down. It comes down to coaching, right? Who are you going to take? I'm taking the coach that won a Super Bowl over the guy that kind of raises eyebrows week in, week out with his decision-making, and Brandon Staley. I'm taking Jacksonville in a close one. I think this is going to be an entertaining game. I like it 31-27. Duval.
Wow. I like it. High scoring. I do like that a lot. This game's so tough for me to pick because I want to pick with my heart, but I know my mind's leading me another way. Like my heart's telling me the Chargers, but my mind's telling me Jacksonville.
So where are you going? Are you trusting your heart or are you trusting your mind?
I'm gonna trust my mind on this one. My mind's right, I think. Yeah, I gotta go Jacksonville as well. I think the Mike Williams thing is like kind of my big X factor, the scary part of it. Because when Mike Williams plays, this offense is like a completely different offense. He's able to explode the top off. You have to play the safeties over the top. Then Keenan Allen isn't necessarily doubled then as much. Austin Eckler gets more room running. Like if Mike Williams is like not up to where he should be, like it's going to be a tough game for the Chargers and Justin Herbert once again. But to revert back on the Jacksonville side, Jacksonville's been playing good ball. They didn't play well versus the Titans, which, I guess it's a tough game. It's a divisional game. It means a lot to them on both sides. So, pressure may have been immense there, but they pulled it out in the end, and that's all that matters. They made it. Trevor Lawrence has been in big-time games before. He's been to the national championship. He knows how to perform in games like this, where Justin Herbert really hasn't, right? I think that's the case. And you bring up coaching also again, like Dougie P, I'm going to take 10 times out of 10 ahead of Brandon Staley. No questions asked. So that's the way you got to go. I mean, if you really want to start looking at paper, which offense is better? Okay, yeah. Chargers offense healthy is better than Jacksonville's. Yep. Defense. It can work both ways. Chargers defense has been notorious for blowing big leads. Jacksonville's still very young. Still trying to get themselves together. You just got to like the home atmosphere in Jacksonville. 8:15. Duval County's going to be representing big time. I just like Jacksonville. Give me the Jags, man. Give it to me.
Yeah, what a story, though, if they can somehow make a little bit of some noise here, right? What a storyline. And like you said, Trevor Lawrence, been there, done that. He arguably beat the greatest team in Alabama history. If you go through that roster, right? When you have Tua, Jalen, Mac Jones, all at the quarterback position. You have Brian Robinson, Najee Harris, Damian Harris. I'm trying to think, Josh Jacobs. And you have on the outside, Ruggs, Smith, Judy. Like that team was absolutely loaded.
Yep.
Loaded.
Yep.
And Trevor Lawrence got down against and the GOAT in college football, right? And Nick Saban. So I think, what do you got? Give me a score real quick before we move on to the next game.
Prediction.
Come on, give me a score. What are we doing?
It's going to be 28-26 Jaguars.
Whoa, where are you getting 26 from? Brandon Staley going for 2 late? And
yeah, why not? Dude's a nut job, son. He goes for it on fourth down. He goes for it on. I don't even know what the guy does. He's all over the place sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing? So yeah, 28-26. Give me the Jags.
All right. I like it. I'm not liking how we're 2 for 2 and agreeing though right now. So like, let's see how that transitions on.
Tomorrow might change things. You know what I mean? I might go with the heart tomorrow. I don't know. Who knows?
You better not change it. This is going to be published before that.
Hey, the game didn't start yet, man. Game didn't start yet.
That's fair. All right, now we're moving. That's Saturday's matchups. We're now moving on to Sunday. I'm going to rework this matchup a little bit for you, Joe. It's Dolphins Bills regional. I mean, what Buffalo did this past weekend and almost like storybook style for DeMar, how that game really unfolded against New England and got that job done. You could see they were playing with so much emotion. I think it kind of caught them off guard with how much emotion they were playing with, so aggressive, which helped New England to stay in that game for a while. And then you're looking at a Miami team that they are the definition of Jekyll and Hyde. You really don't know what team you're going to get with winning 3, losing 3, winning 5, losing 5, and then with your third string quarterback beating Joey Flacco ain't saying much. Not going to be when it's 9-6 and an absolute, 11-6. They gave them a safety there at the end. But I'm going to frame this question differently, and then you'll give me a prediction after you answer this question for me. If you're Miami, do you play Tua?
I can't answer it unless I know he's cleared the concussion protocol.
Okay, he clears concussion protocol. Do you throw him out there and risk it? Or do you, because I feel like the medical staff has to be the one that makes the final decision for Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, no, like I agree entirely. Like it all is gonna come down to if he's cleared. If he's cleared, then what are you gonna tell the kid? No, you can't go out because you're like, I just don't trust it. He's gonna want to go out. It's a playoff game. It's the first time Miami's made the playoff in how many years? I don't think they've won a playoff game since like 2000 or something like that. Some wild stat like that.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah. Like you can't hold the kid out if he's cleared. If he's not cleared, then your answer's no. But if he's cleared, like your answer's got to be yes. Like
you're all right. You're in the Miami organization. What do you do? Do you play him or do you hold him out?
You say he's cleared?
See, that's the question.
Like,
do you he's cleared and you just hold him out and say he's not cleared?
Okay, but
do you lie to the kid? Do you lie to the kid and hold him out? Because I had this discussion last night on #ThisJustIn Sports Show. Go check them out. And I'm gonna give you my 2 cents on it. Like, you do not let that kid touch the football field with what he's gone through this year. You have to just say, you got to look at his future, man. You got to look at the franchise. Him and Mike McDaniel actually have been a surprising relationship that has gelled really well. And I think that's kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't think that would happen. I thought that Tua would struggle and McDaniel would be looking for a quarterback in this draft. And he still might be, just because of health concerns, right? If you're that medical staff, you cannot screw this up anymore. You've screwed it up 3 times this year. You put him out there, and lo and behold, God forbid something happens, that whole organization is going to get sued by everybody. Mike McDaniel's getting sued. The medical staff, honestly, they should all be fired already. I don't know how some of these guys still have jobs, basically how they've handled this situation. You got to think about long term. If you want this franchise to be on the up and up, you hold this kid out and you take his best interest at heart. Because like you said, there is no way, if it comes down to his decision, whether he's taking that football field with his brothers. There is no if, ands, or buts about it. You hold him out. You got to look at the best interest, because obviously what they're trying ain't working.
I mean, this is the best they've done so far. Right? Like, he's been out.
They held him out 2 weeks?
Well, it'll be what, 3
He
weeks?
played the whole second. He played the whole second half with a concussion, basically.
Yes. Yeah. How do I want to word this?
Yeah, come on, Joe. I think I've got you here. Come on, you gotta hold him out.
So I see what you're saying, and I do agree, because obviously concussion is no serious joke. I mean, we've seen Austin Collie, who had like 8 in one season, and the man's literally like, I don't know how he's living still right now. So, but in the same sense, like this, right? He got it. He's gotten 2. Is it 3 now? 2 or 3 now? Yeah, it's not good. Doesn't sound great on paper.
2 officially. They said
Okay,
that
two
first one
two
was not a
officially. Yep.
concussion, but we all know it was 3. Come on now.
Okay, so 3. All right. So he's been out, what, 3 weeks now. My number one step would be this: the medical staff needs to clear him. And honestly, I probably would get a second opinion too. Like I would get a second opinion before this game to make sure he's also cleared from them too, like an outside of their
Right.
place. Now, if he's cleared, like, I think that's when you need to like make a decision. And as a franchise, yes, you do want to think future, but in the I closed. What did I do here? Can you still hear me? Ah, there we go. Now I'm
Yeah.
back.
I've heard you the entire time, bud.
Oh, I must have pulled myself out over here. But see, I think you got it. Like, if you're cleared by 2 sits and he feels like he is okay, I think you gotta just support the kid, and you gotta be like, yeah, let's go. Like, it all comes down to medically personnel clearing. I'm not saying
Yeah,
no.
because he's not cleared as of now anyway, right? It's Tuesday night. He hasn't been cleared yet.
Correct.
So the chances of him getting cleared to be able to go probably what? Thursday at the latest
I think
that he probably has to be
tomorrow is their
cleared
day.
by?
I believe tomorrow is their day that they need to make a decision.
You think so? Okay.
No, I think like those were the reports I saw. Like tomorrow is the day they have to make a decision. And if they like say yes or no, like if he's gonna stay in the protocol or he's like gonna work his way back.
Starting to show signs because he hasn't been cleared for any activity, right? So
Yeah, like again, like that's my number one thing. Like, is he cleared yet? Like, if he's cleared, he feels like he's confident enough to play, and his abilities are going to still be there. And health wise, you gotta go. I mean, you just gotta go. You gotta go for it. I mean,
right.
We just had the Hamler situation, and I'm glad he's doing well. First off, fantastic news.
That's why you have to err on the side of caution.
But then did you also hear what Mike Evans said? He goes, but then that also makes you want to play even harder because you know that could be your last snap. So I'm like,
very true.
Huh.
Gosh darn it, Mike Evans.
Hey, so like I don't know. Like it's a tough question. It's like walking across Legos. Like it's gonna hurt. But like I don't know how I feel about it. But you gotta get to the other side. So
fair. All right. Does it make a difference if he plays?
Yes.
I still have Buffalo. I still have Buffalo winning. I think Miami can make it a game if he plays, though.
Personally, I think Miami could shock them if Tua plays and Tua is healthy. Like this is my one big upset in here. I love Buffalo.
Where's your button to go?
I love Buffalo, and I am a huge Josh Allen fan. But Josh Allen does not look the same as he did last year. He's throwing a lot more picks. His red zone, yep. He just doesn't look the same this year. And they've been playing a lot of gunslinging. We're just gonna ride as far as we can, and we're gonna see what we can do with them. But Miami plays if Tua is healthy, Miami plays very straightforward. They'll get the run game going, and then you just got to get the ball in Tyreek's hands or Jalen Waddle's hands, and you're gonna find ways to score one way or another. If Tua plays, they could shock Buffalo. Who am I still picking in the end? It's still going to be Buffalo, but do not be shocked. Do not be shocked if Miami comes out and beats Buffalo.
Okay. Give me a score. What you got?
Tua doesn't play. 27-13. If Tua plays, 24-21 Miami.
Wow. So you think Tua is the difference in this game? All right.
Yeah,
I
well,
like
two
it.
two
I
is the
have
difference, but then two is also got to be healthy. That's the other thing.
right, exactly. All right, for me, I think Buffalo wins either way. If Tua plays, it's definitely a game. I'm going to go 27-24 Buffalo if he plays. If he doesn't play, I think the team gets deflated early, and
Yeah.
this could be ugly. I think it might be 30-6.
Yeah, it could
I
be
think
like
it could
65-7 TCU
it
Georgia.
could be it won't be as bad as Georgia TCU, but it could get in that range without a doubt in my mind. Like if Skylar Thompson can't move the ball against the Jets, he ain't gonna be able to move the ball against the Bills.
That's fair. That is fair.
So I think all right. We got next one? We've
So
got
I got you on the next one. Next one, we got the
all right,
Minnesota
what we got?
Vikings at US Bank Stadium versus the New York Football Giants, baby, led by Brian the Ball. Gonna be good stuff. Two rookie head coaches going at it. Which one's better? That's what we're gonna say here. Gonna be a good game. I think that Vikings are a little I don't know, like they're the favorite, but like I feel like a lot of people are liking the Giants. At least that's what I'm hearing here on the East Coast. I don't know. It's gonna be a good game. It's semi prime time. So what what Kirk Cousins are we gonna get here? I think that's a big question here. I both sides here. I like both offenses. Even though I'm not a big fan of Daniel Jones, I still like both offenses here. And I actually think the Giants have an upper hand on the defensive side versus the Vikings. Vikings defense is absolutely god awful. And there's going to be a big ground game from both sides. I think Dalvin Cook should have a big game. I think Saquon's going to need to have a big game. I think Daniel Jones is going to have to use his legs to have a game. Justin Jefferson, of course, is going to eat. No questions about it. They're excited. The Vikings are back. 13-4 season. I mean, very impressive to lead the NFC North. And my heart's going to kill me on this one, but I got to go the Vikings still. I think the Vikings win this game 27-17.
This is my upset.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm rolling G-men. As much as it crushes me as a Washington fan, and should be playing these clowns if we could actually figure out how to play the New York Giants. But that's neither here nor there. I am taking the New York Football Giants. This is my upset of this slate, really, so to speak. Give me Danny Dimes and taking out the Minnesota Vikings. And I think I'm going to take them at a 24-20 over Minnesota. Why? Look at this, statistically speaking, from Minnesota this year to last year. Numbers almost identical, right? Offensively and defensively. The difference, they figured out how to win the tight games that they couldn't figure out to win last year. That is literally it. Other than Justin Jefferson arguably being the MVP, but because that's a quarterback award, that is no longer how it gets played out in the NFL, right? Justin Jefferson, absolute monster. Outside of him, though, if you limit Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen has had a down year. TJ Hawkinson has been okay since he's joined Minnesota. Hasn't been as paramount as he was in Detroit. And Dalvin Cook, the run game hasn't been the Vikings calling card this year. And also, I have a personal vendetta against Kirk Cousins because he has failed me every time that I have trusted him. And when you trust Kirk Cousins in crunch time, it usually backfires when it matters most, which is the primetime games and in the postseason. So, how do the Giants get it done? You ride Saquon Barkley. You feed him I think Barkley might get 40 touches. I really do. 25 on the ground, 15 maybe catches. I think you ride Saquon Barkley into the ground for you to be successful. And the difference, I think it's going to come down to these first-year head coaches. Who's been there and kind of done that? I trust Brian Daboll more than Kevin O'Connell. Why? Because Kevin O'Connell, even though he was the OC with the Rams, he did absolutely jack squat while he was there. That was Sean McVay's offense. That was Sean McVay calling plays. That was Sean McVay being the head coach. And it took every ounce of Greg Joseph to beat them in the first matchup, which was on Christmas Eve. So I like the Giants, and like you kind of laid it out, man. If it comes down to defense really in these postseason games, and the Giants are a much better defense than the Minnesota Vikings. I think they limit Justin Jefferson, and they kind of befuddle Kirk Cousins, because it's usually what happens. Someone may call me a Kirk Cousins hater, and you're goddamn right I am, because what he did to me in Washington for 4 or 5 years. And when you trust it, since he's made that move to Minnesota, other than that Saints game that he got away with offensive PI to win that in OT, he really hasn't showed me anything when it matters most. Give me Danny Dimes and New York Football Giants.
2 statements I have to make. You don't think, or no, you never thought you would ever say, I'm taking Danny Dimes in the playoffs. Okay, first off.
Never in my life. I don't even think I had Tyrod Taylor being the quarterback by week 4.
And then you also just said you're going to take Danny Dimes over Kirk Cousins. That's essentially what you're saying right now. It's not the best. It's not good. It's not good.
I'm more than I think I'm taking Saquon and the defense over the Vikings.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so. They did play each other. What was it? You said Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, excuse me. Vikings did win that one. Same thing, same scenario. They were at home. Justin Jefferson had a 43 yards on a touchdown, 12 receptions.
Right.
I think Minnesota's offense is going to step up. They need to step up. I think this is a big year for them. I mean, you finished 13-4, impressive stuff. Their defense sucks. I get it. They do. But his offense is one of the best offenses in the league. And I think the Giants' issue is this. If they can keep it low scoring, they have a really, really good shot, and they'll probably win it. But if they get behind the 8 ball, that's where they're going to fall behind. I mean, you've seen games where, I don't know off the top of my head, like, when was the last time the Giants scored over, 27 points?
Let me look that up for you. Actually, New Year's against Indy, because everyone can score over 27 against the Colts.
Okay.
But so before that.
And then the Lions before that, which you're talking a little while.
No, they didn't get to.
Oh, no. Yeah. So they haven't scored over 27 before that. No, the Packers.
Nope, they scored 20. They got to 27 against the Packers.
Okay.
Nope, you're right. They got to keep it low scoring, otherwise they lose.
Yeah, they need to hold the Vikings to 21, maybe 24 if they get lucky. They need to do that, because if not, I just don't think their offense is going to be able to keep up with them. I still vividly remember that Commanders game that they played, and it was just a terrible game to watch, but you just sat there and you just kept watching it because you're just I love watching football right now. I love watching this stuff, even though the game was god awful to watch. And the game ended up 20-12. The defense really pulled through for them there, and I just think that's what they're gonna have to do against the Vikings here. I just think that's the only way they win.
That's fair. And yet you chose your mind over your heart once again, because it looked like you were really itching to take New York there as the East Coast correspondent.
Yeah, I almost did, but mine's working pretty good today right now. So
look at you go. You're locked in today.
Yeah, and
taking mind over my.
This next game we can plow right through real quick. We don't even got to talk too much about it.
All right, so
Lamar's not playing, right? Lamar isn't playing.
Is that official?
I don't know, but
I heard he was going to give it a go. I think they make it a game. I really do. If Lamar plays, this was my most intriguing matchup but it's also based off if Lamar Jackson's on that football field. Like Bengals, Ravens, right? This is the next matchup we're kind of talking about. They just played last week. They've split the two matchups. One, Lamar played, and
I was at that
Baltimore
game.
got it done. Yeah, you got the inside scoop on everything. You know what I mean?
It did look good.
Way ahead of me on it. Did look good. And then last week, I mean, Tyler Huntley and Anthony Brown have been absolutely god awful at the quarterback position. Like, if you're Baltimore, you kind of enforce your hand to pay Lamar Jackson because of how bad you guys look without him. So, like, I think if Lamar plays, there's only one way they win, right? Their defense has to limit Cincinnati. It's almost like it's literally the Giants recipe, and you got to be able to run the ball and ride J.K. Dobbins, Mark Andrews, and Lamar Jackson and just hope that you're going to get the most dynamic player in football coming off of a knee injury. But if he gets hit once, right, what's that reaction going to be like? Is he down for the count again? Or is he going to be able to power through? I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, I have Cincinnati win this game. If Lamar doesn't play, a blowout like how it was with Buffalo, I think it's going to be like 30-9 or 30-10. If Lamar plays, I actually think they're going to give them a game because I think Lamar's going to say, yo, this is why you need me, Baltimore. Pay me my $50 million. I'm going to show you why you're giving it to me. I think they're going to have a chance at the end of this game. I think it's going to be Baltimore coming up short at the end, but I've got Cincinnati 27-24.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think Lamar plays.
Really? You think he doesn't play? I think he's going to give it a go, man. I really do.
I mean, I think even if he does give it a go, he's not 100%. I don't even think he's probably.
No, that's without question. But I would take 50% Lamar Jackson over Tyler Huntley or Anthony Brown.
Yeah, but like, where does that put you at now? Now does he only become a passing quarterback? Like, yeah, you're still gonna take him over Huntley and who's the other guy? Anthony what?
Brown.
Oh, Brown. Okay. Yeah, I'm still gonna take Lamar, but Lamar isn't known for his passing. Lamar is known for his running. So, like, if his knee's shot, he has to stay in the pocket. Like, you're already hampered at that point. I mean, I think the Bengals steamroll them. I think actually, tell you the truth, I'll give you a player to watch out for. I think Hayden Hurst has a big game.
Former Raven.
Yeah. I think he has a decent to very good game. In terms of his stats. I think they get the offense rocking and rolling like they have been for the last couple of weeks. They're one of the hottest teams coming into the league, coming into the playoffs, excuse me. Yeah, I just think the Bengals win this game, whether Lamar plays or Lamar doesn't play. I think the Bengals win this game.
It's fair.
Probably,
I think it's a fair argument.
I don't know, 31. I'll give them 10, maybe 13, 31-13. Yeah, it's gonna be schlacking.
All right.
Let's get to the real game.
Last one.
Yeah, let's get to the real game here. Raymond James Stadium down in Tampa Bay. Monday night, ESPN said, I'm paying the most money I can to get the best game. And they said, I want Dallas and I want Tom Brady. And that's what they got. Probably the best in terms of fans tuning in. You're going to have over like 30 million people watching his game, streaming it, whatever it may be. Could be Tom Brady's last game ever. Maybe. Hint, could retire. Cowboys coming off a impressive 12-5 season. Like I said, Monday night, the Bucs Stadium's gonna be rocking. That ship's gonna be blowing cannons out the wazoo. It's gonna be a good time down there. I'll tell you that. What do you think, Blaine?
Oh baby, I've been waiting for this one because this all comes down to what? Who are you taking? Are you taking the GOAT or are you taking Dak? And
geez, that sounds terrible.
Every time you take the GOAT, baby. Tampa Bay is getting this one done. Dallas is going to fall apart just like they do every year. And I think it's going to be a tight game. Don't get me wrong. Tampa Bay really hasn't blown anybody out all year. And it will be a tight game, but who do you want at the end of the game in the fourth quarter? Every time you're taking Tom Brady. It's not even a question. I know people are like Dallas. They can't pass protect. They can't run block. They got no help for Tom. That don't matter. That defense might not be as good as these last couple of years. That's fair. I think they finally got on the same page with Mike Evans, though, in that Carolina game. You're starting to see that. Trayvon Diggs, a very aggressive corner. He's going to bite on a couple of double moves, and Mike Evans might get a couple. I think he'll get one deep touchdown on Diggs. The real question is, who's going to cover Chris Godwin in between the numbers? Because I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I really don't, based off of what Dallas has. That's where they struggle, is the middle of the field. I know most teams like to ground and pound against them. That's not how Tampa Bay's played all year. They rely on that golden arm of Tom Brady. And yes, his arm has this year. You can't really argue that. The numbers suggest that. But when it matters most, that man knows how to get it done. And the Dallas Cowboys, like every year in and year out, they just find a way to fuck it up. And what does that mean? Tom Brady's moving on, and they're going to win. I've got Tom Brady going down in the fourth quarter, getting the job done. Low-scoring affair, 23-17. Bucks. Tom Brady gets it done in the fourth quarter yet again. And the train continues because I have Tom Brady retiring whenever this postseason ends, but it ain't ending at home against the Dallas Cowboys.
Impressive. I like it. There's 3 key rules that I always take in terms of betting, right? You never bet against Greg Popovich. You never bet against Tom Izzo. And you never bet against Tom Brady. So that's why I'm going with Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week as well. It's impressive stuff that he's going to be able to do on Monday night. I think Mike Evans has a very solid game. I think Chris Godwin, though, is going to have the big game of it all. 13 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. That's what he's going to have. But it's not the Brady aspect. It's going to be the Dak mistakes that's going to happen. Dak leads the league in INTs, or is tied for the league in INTs with Davis Mills, who's played, believe it's 15 games, and Dak has played 12. Not good for Dak Prescott. Forcing the ball down the field a lot. Offensive line has been pretty banged up. Zeke looks like a load of shit. And Tony Pollard is about the only good thing, and CeeDee Lamb is about the only good thing that's been coming out so far. Granted, their pass rush is one of the best in the league. And Brady is one of the best at getting the ball out as quick as possible. So I don't really see the pass rush being a big issue in terms of that. What I can see is this. I can see kind of something like that Rams and Bucks game last year, if you remember correctly.
Really? You think it's going to be a shootout?
I think Dallas gets up early, and I think they're going to try to pound them a little bit on the ground to start. And then Dak makes a mistake somewhere in that late second quarter, early third quarter, and then that's when Brady becomes the GOAT once again. And he's going to fire back, bang, 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 bang. And I think the score eventually is going to become a 31-28 game. Bucks win it. Yes, I do think it's going to be high scoring. I think both secondaries give up some yards, give up some points. Yeah, like I said, you just cannot bet against Tom Brady. You just can't.
You can't. You just can't.
He has screwed us. He screwed me multiple times. He screwed me in the biggest way in 2018 or 2017. I'm still scarred by it, but, you know, it is what it is. I just had a depressing moment right there, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, no, I mean, am I right to say, like, the only people that are rooting for Dallas is the people in Dallas? Like,
yo, honestly, this is why this game's so fascinating, right? Because everyone's going to be locked in for all of like the wrong reasons. You're going to have the Dallas fans rooting for him as the go-tos. Then you're going to have the Dallas haters watching, right? Just cheering for Tampa Bay. Then you have the Tom Brady fan club And then everyone that despises Tom Brady. That's why your ESPN picked up this game for the Monday night. It's because they know everyone's going to be locked in for every reason imaginable that you're thinking for a football game.
I agree.
It's just like you're going to see all of the love, all the hate. Social media will be blowing up. It's going to be great. Memes everywhere. That's the entire reason that this game is the finale. And you couldn't have scripted it any better. Like you knew that's how it was going to unfold. There was no way you didn't put Dallas and Tampa in that Monday or that Sunday night slot, right? So
yeah, this is honestly, tell you the truth, this is my third favorite week of the NFL, behind the Super Bowl, behind Week 1. I love Week 1 NFL because you're like so stoked because it's finally back, right? And the Super Bowl obviously is number one because it's like, yeah, that's it. That's the Mecca. But like the wild card weekend to me is great because it's like all these teams are just looking to win because all they do is want to get to the Super Bowl. Like the next week's a little more strategic. Like number one seeds a little bit have more time. They can figure out what they want to do. They're a little more healthier, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Something about wild card weekend just gets my gears going, and I love it.
Oh, it's fascinating because like, and also you have games every day, right? Even though you'll have games that Saturday and Sunday in the divisional round, it's just not the same because it's only 2 games, right? I think it's only, is it 2 games or is it 4 games? 2 games each day. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong there? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's
you're
2
right.
games each day. So it's everyone's tuned in. You have 2 late games on Saturday. So everyone can go around, enjoy your Saturday morning, go do some stuff, right? You know, enjoy your day, come back, watch the games. And then Sunday, 3 games all going through. I mean, Sunday's games are probably the weaker lineup out of, even if you gauge it with Monday night's thriller, you would probably take the Monday night game over watching all 3 of the Sunday games. Like the only real game I think that we would talk about for Sunday is the Giants Vikings game, just because of how tight the first game was. Because we both believe potentially, especially if Tua and Lamar don't play, those 2 games are going to be, nobody will be tuning in.
Yeah.
And then those Saturday games are both, that Saturday night game, Jacksonville Chargers, is going to be really intriguing. So I feel like you have 3 games that are intriguing. Then you have 3 games that are kind of like, yeah, I'm going to tune in, of course, but like you don't know, like, you really don't know what you're going to get. Like it could be, those 3 games could be easily routes. So
yeah, 100%.
But no, I agree. I love Wild Card Weekend. I would probably have to put it 4th because I love Super Bowl 1. Then I go Week 1. I love the last week of the season, especially when, but that's all hindered, right? By especially when it was still 16 games, because every scenario in the playoffs was still there. I mean, you had a bunch of scenarios in Week 17 or Week 18 now, what it's called, in that 17th game, but it's not as thorough as it usually was with that one game left, right? Not everything was truly clinched by that part. You only had a couple of games really trying to be settled in Week 18 in comparison to the 16 game schedule. So
that's fair.
Then I would go Wild Card Weekend 4. But yeah, no, this is gonna be. I'm gonna be tuned in. So you know me, I'm gonna be kicked back on my couch, throw the futon up, just it'll hold around that. So I'm gonna be bundled up, just eating popcorn, watching football, having a beer.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Yeah, that should be a good weekend in terms of that. It's gonna be a blast. Can't wait to watch.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating. All right, Joe. Before this is gonna be our last little segment here, talking about these games here. I think I wanted to go with a little bit of a question that we kind of wanted to go about towards these playoff games, and that is the 1 seeds. They're not playing. That's Kansas City and Philadelphia. Are you riding the 1 seeds in each conference, or would you take the field? So would you take Kansas City or the field in the AFC, or would you and would you take Philadelphia or the field in the NFC? Go.
Taking the field in the NFC.
Okay.
And I am taking AFC's tough. I'll take the field in the AFC.
Okay. I'm agreeing with you with the AFC. I think the AFC is just too deep. I think you can make the argument for arguably if Lamar's fully healthy and the Ravens actually look really good, you can make an argument for 6 teams to make who that could represent in the AFC in the Super Bowl. In the NFC, man, I'm going against. No, I can't do it. Can I do it?
How's it feel to be like the only NFC East team that didn't make it to the playoffs?
Oh, shut up.
Hey, what are you gonna take? You taking the Birds?
No, because I had the Niners in my Super Bowl frequently, so I had to take the field. I really wanted to take the Birds, and then I had my epiphany that my Super Bowl pick was Bills Niners. So I was like, I gotta take the field for both. I was like, gosh darn it. I was like, that just made the entire argument counterintuitive.
We'll probably get more into talk about the Birds next week and the Chiefs.
I just don't know what you're gonna get Jalen, man. I really don't. With
Yeah,
that shoulder.
Jalen didn't look good. I don't know if he was trying to take it easy and like play to not get injured again. In that Giants game, Lane Johnson potentially still going to be out is hurting them. He's a huge part on that offensive line. Is Avonte Maddox back?
Right.
Is Gardner Johnson back fully healthy yet? They got a lot of question marks still on that team. Like, hands down, I think. I don't know. I think hands down, if you put them on paper all healthy, I think the Eagles do have the best roster. But are they healthy? I don't know. So I guess we'll see. We'll talk more about it next week, though.
Yeah, facts. All right. I think the last thing we had on our little agenda was to talk about the lovely Monday of firing of coaches. So, Joe, what was the biggest takeaway that you got from Black Monday, so to speak, when it comes to the who was fired or who wasn't fired? What was the biggest thing that raised your eyebrows?
Biggest takeaway is if you get an extension last year, it doesn't mean you still have your job for the following year, aka Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, that was writing on the wall, man. I'm not surprised Arizona canned him. I wasn't surprised one bit.
I expected it, but I also, in the same sense, didn't, because I also felt like he got dealt a bad hand this year. Having Hopkins miss 6 weeks, having Hollywood eventually get almost half a year out in terms of an injury, Kyler tearing his ACL. I think he just got dealt a bad hand, but I understand why they had to move on. And I know we talked about it a little bit, but I don't understand why Ron Rivera didn't get fired. I know they like him a lot, and I think honestly he was more of a front for the Washington Commanders right now in terms of protection. I personally think in front of Dan Snyder. That's the only thing I could think. Like, I think he's just like a protection from the media in terms of Dan Snyder, because if once you get through Ron Rivera, then you got to deal with Dan Snyder, and it's like, yeah, that's a nightmare to deal with. So that's the only reason I could think, but I just don't know why they kept him.
I know, especially after him trending, saying that we could be eliminated. Like, that's just bad. It really is. I mean, and you felt like Washington had to do something. They did do that today, not on Black Monday, of course, firing Scott Turner, which I've been calling for his firing. I'm sorry, Scott Turner. I've been calling for you to be fired since beginning of last year. But for me, probably the biggest surprise is would actually have to be that we didn't hear anything out of New Orleans with Dennis Allen. But I feel like that was also something that was done by the Saints. Shout out to Adam Lewis. He is a big Saints fan. He was on This Just In last night, and he really raised some eyebrows that I agreed with, which is why I went a different direction on the show. But he talked about saying that with the whole Sean Payton deal and basically how Dennis Allen has never succeeded as a head coach. He struggled this year. He was a defensive guru, and the defense still stunk it up this year. I mean, you didn't have a quarterback, so that's always your first problem, right? But you didn't succeed in Oakland. And I think they had to keep it quiet because you're still trying to beg Sean Payton to come back, right? You're still trying to figure out how can we reel Sean Payton back in. So I think that was surprising that you didn't hear anything out of Saints camp. That would be the biggest thing for me.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I was surprised he didn't get fired also.
Also, another one was Matt LaFleur. Why didn't you hear anything potential noise out of Green Bay? Like, come on, dude.
I don't think much was gonna come out of there. He was not even on my radar. My other one, if I really had to say real quick, would be Josh McDaniels. Because now you're essentially making a decision like, are you keeping Josh McDaniels or are you keeping Derek Carr? So
right.
You're picking Josh. Carr's probably gone. If you're picking Carr, McDaniels is probably gone. I mean, I still feel bad also for Lovie Smith. I understand
Yo,
it.
come on. That was you knew he was taking that job and he was probably just a filler until they get somebody that they want.
Yeah, terrible stuff there. I wasn't really a big fan of that, and I hope he succeeds somewhere in a defensive coordinator position. But
what a true Chicago Bear though, through and through. What he did this weekend, you knew he was canned. You could tell. He's not trying to win that game and rally the troops. If he would have folded in that fourth quarter. He went for 2. He did everything possible to give his Chicago Bears that number 1 pick. I loved it.
I agree. It was great.
You're the Houston Texans organization.
Great stuff. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, to get back to the head coaches, yeah, that was kind of it for me. Yeah, McDaniels was about the only other one I could think. Now, looking forward, next year is going to be a very interesting year because last year there was a lot of head coaches that got hired. I kind of expect a lot to get fired this year because you got to give them guys times, right? You got to give them time to get in, get their system that they want to use. Keep an eye on Vrabel next year because this team in Tennessee shits the bed next year. He could be out. I don't see why not. It just makes sense.
No, so. That's a fair assessment.
So we'll see. So
fascinating stuff. But hey, good job, man. Great job today in week 2. Maybe I'll keep you for another week.
Yeah, we'll check if the key card works tomorrow. I'll keep you all updated. But if it doesn't, yeah, catch me on the streets. You know what I mean? Just talking football. Podcasting, you know what I mean? So
you're gonna be like the dude with the sign on the sidewalk is like a free agency pickup podcaster and looking to be joining the new podcast.
Jesus, it won't be good. So yeah,
you made it. You made it another week.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So tune in. You were on what? Just in last night. Make sure you go check out that video there. We might be on another one tomorrow as well. Blaine,
live.
Yeah, live. Plug that in. I don't know that plug in there.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we'll plug it in. Hey, go talk with Marcus tomorrow, Wednesday night, 8 Eastern. It's gonna be us two. Another day of us. Like I've not been podcasting 3 days in a row podcasting for me. Joe's gonna get his first guest appearance as a final whistle guy. You gotta go tune into that live. So it's on YouTube. Go talk with Marcus. Plug that into your YouTube channel. If you're not already, go subscribe to him too. He's got good stuff. So, I'm just going to plug that, man. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go subscribe to the hashtag This Just In sports show that I was on yesterday. And you know where you can find that? I put it on the Instagram story. So I know you guys have seen it. So go check it out.
Fair enough. I like to see it. Yeah, I like to see it. So yeah, make sure you all tune in next week. We'll break down the recap of this wildcard week, look ahead to the divisional round, get into some head coaching hires, maybe some awards later on, and much more. Stay tuned there. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, take it easy, baby. You want to sign us off, Blaine?
Hey. This is Blaine Spencer, Joe Ciccoletti of the Final Whistle Sports Podcast. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody.